SCREAMBOX is just one of the many streamers I subscribe to, and they've just dropped the first 2 episodes of a new horror series called The Trouble with Tessa. So I decided to check it out. Is this something you're going to want to give a go? When disgraced documentarian Tessa rents a rural house to escape the big city, they unearth a box of old tapes, one seemingly capturing a murder, which spurs on a quest to unravel the dark secrets buried in the perfect town's past. So far, this is a very, very quick show. Each of the episodes are less than 25 minutes, so it's not going to take too much to get through. Now, I'm glad SCREAMBOX dropped the first 2 episodes together, because the first one, it is rough. I mean, the dialogue is stunted, the acting is stiff, there's not really much that's given to us in the way of story either. The second episode does begin to find its groove. Not that it's now perfect by any means, but it smoothed out more of those rough edges, and it began to allow the story room to develop. Now, like the synopsis stated, this follows a documentarian who needed to take a break from the limelight because of some extremely bad press. So while fading off into anonymity, Tessa finds a rental home in this picture-perfect town. But just like with any town that's too good to be true in a movie or show, this one just oozes the ick. I instantly got vibes of content like The Wicker Man, Apostle, even the recent Irish horror Frauke, where a person ventures into a community that is cagey, mysterious, cultish, and potentially murderously unhinged. I'm not saying that's what the town is, but from a few people that the Tessa encounters, they're strange. Like, get in the car and drive straight out of here strange. They're secretive, suspicious, nosy, and vehemently opposed to any sorts of questions. Just follow the town rules and you're good to go. I like the creep factor that's established simply from the people Tessa meets. There are only a few so far that garner conversations, but that's enough to give us a sense of unease. And so when I mentioned the first episode is a tough one to get through, it's not solely with the acting and the line delivery. I mean, even the filming, the blocking, and the lighting, they all feel very low budget, bordering on amateurish. The conversations Tessa has, which mainly consist of phone calls in the first episode, they're edited in an aggravating way, where we cut between the 2 characters incessantly, as if there was this 3-second rule that required the scene to cut back to the other player if that time limit was met. And I'm not implying that each edit was that long. They were short, sometimes rapid fire, making me feel like I was watching this ping pong match with how quickly and abruptly the editing was employed. There's an art to editing a 2-shot sequence, and it's fine to allow dialogue to overlap onto the other character because just like us, that character is listening to what's being said. And after the convo participants are established, we don't need to switch every time the character speaks. Now, I know I'm harping on this, but it was an extended scene within a very short episode, and it made my eye twitch. And since I was aware of it, now you are too. But to strangely offset this editing wonkiness, there are some edits and filming techniques that are used strategically so they convey the right amount of creepiness and disquiet. Plus, they look great. A dolly zoom is used once or twice, and the discombobulating perspective shift that this creates, it is complementary to this nervousness that's being established. Now, this is a show that you need to be watching the entire time. I love that in quick moments sprinkled throughout the episodes, there are things in the background that we're meant to pick up on. And we're not necessarily supposed to know what, if anything, we saw, but movement and tricks of light, they set up both anxiety and mystery. And by the end of episode 2, I was engaged and intrigued by what could be uncovered. I mean, there haven't been any sort of horror moments or scenes of gore, but the premise has me curious, especially with the unusual townsfolk that we've been introduced to. The underlying sense of dread, combined with the isolated and lonely setting, it's working to create an environment that I wouldn't want to be stuck in after the sun goes down. Now, I am hoping the acting and dialogue improves, and I seriously have my fingers crossed that the editing gets better, but despite a rocky beginning, the show's piqued my interest enough to continue on. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, and no violence. Now, obviously, because I've only seen 2 episodes, I'm not going to give this a rating, but if you're not turned off by lower budget and indie types of content, you might want to give The Trouble with Tessa a go on SCREAMBOX. So have you seen any great horrors lately? I'm always on the lookout for something that's going to haunt me, so let me know what you got in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.